It is transfer talk time, people, and KG is here. We're going to speak about a few things today: goalkeeper updates, Paixão updates, which is quite a positive one, PSR, Pascal, Struijk, and a couple of other things. But what I want to get into is the current state of Leeds United as we sit here on the 4th of June and just where we are in the whole landscape of football. So it ties in with this one because this was the one where I was getting messages yesterday about Nick Pope rejecting Leeds United. Well, it's not a rejection, but listen, Lee Ryder, who's a top Newcastle reporter up there, as said, wrote an article saying that Nick Pope doesn't want to talk about Leeds United at this time. He's kind of like, dismissing the inquiry as he wants to fight for his place at Newcastle. Now, the kind of mixture of messages I got basically were, why would he want to stay at Newcastle if he's not going to be first choice rather than come to Leeds? There's one. And the other one is kind of like, well, who's going to come to Leeds when we're one of the favourites for relegation? And the truth is, it's somewhere in the middle. Because at this point in time for Nick Pope, what he'll want to do is check the landscape of Newcastle once they do sign that new goalkeeper, whether it be James Trafford or someone else, and see where he fits in. But at that time, when they do sign that new goalkeeper, they will have 4 goalkeepers on the books, and he will be the one more likely to leave, just so they can get some money back for him and he can go on his way. With Nick Pope, he's probably looking at it in a way of, and I don't know how this doesn't compute with people. Why would he leave a team that has just made the Champions League to go to a team that is going to be fighting relegation? For me, that's simple maths. I understand where he's coming from, and he probably still thinks he can wrestle that #1 jersey away, as he's done many times in his career. But then the reality is going to set in, and if Newcastle make it uncomfortable for him or just make it known, you've got no future here, he will then have to find a new home. Now, does that mean it's going to be Leeds United? It doesn't mean that. It could mean that he wants to go somewhere else that's more established. Not saying this is the case, but if Aston Villa lose Emi Martinez, and Aston Villa want him, then yes, he's going to go to Aston Villa, Europa League, Unai Emery, and everything else like that. That makes sense, doesn't it? But what Leeds can't do is just drop out and say, oh, because he didn't, another one kind of thing was, well, if he's rejected us now, I don't want him at all. That's just not how business works in the Premier League, people. There is no player that will look at Leeds United and say, that's my first choice. That's the reality. There's no player that's looking out there going, I want Leeds United and Leeds United only. They're going to weigh up their options and see what's the best. And then when they sign, they're going to say, when Leeds United came in for me, it was a no-brainer, and all the other bingo that comes with signing. But it's one of those things where you can't take yourself out of the discussion just because it's been like initially rebuffed at this time. I think it's more of a wait and see thing. And I'm not bothered where we sign first, whether it be goalkeeper, centre back, winger, whatever it may be, but the quality has to be right. Because what also Nick Pope could be looking at is the Aaron Ramsdale situation, where he's left Arsenal, he's gone to Southampton, who did not recruit well. And now look at Aaron Ramsdale. He's a mess anyway in all that, but Aaron Ramsdale's now in the Championship and looking for a way back into the Premier League. He's out the England reckoning, and Nick Pope doesn't want that. He's looking at a recent example. Other prospective signings as well would be looking at the recent record of relegated teams and seeing, well, Leeds are obviously one of the favourites. Why would they go here? But then it's down to the Leeds United board and everyone else to sell them a project. When it comes to shirt sales, we'll be there again at the end of the season in the top 6. We will. But what it is at this point in time, we don't have that established Premier League presence like a Brighton, like a Bournemouth, like a Brentford at this point, because we were only here for a cup of coffee. All those players before, all these players that we're trying to sign now don't know about the Champions League, Leeds United. They don't. And it's like I'll give you an example. When we was in that doldrums of the Championship in like 2012, 2013, and you had players that were nowhere near good enough coming to Leeds United, they'd always say, I remember watching them playing in the Champions League, being one of the best teams in England, and I want to be a part of that again. That's gone. That's a whole generation ago. We're in 2025 now. A lot of these players now don't even remember Leeds United being in the Champions League, and they're probably babies when we were. So you're having to reestablish yourself. And when you're looking at things like that, the recent record of relegated teams, when you're looking at us now, and here's more facts about it. We're recently promoted. We have a manager that hasn't done well at this level before. He's done the 90-point-plus points before with Norwich. He's done 100 points now. But in recent seasons, he's not been very good. So there's a lot of things to consider. So it's not even like you're looking at Leeds United as a place where the coach is like an outstanding coach that they've brought in. It's someone that He could be good, but we've seen him before and he wasn't too good. There's a lot of things to consider. Now, Leeds United, when it comes to pull and money, we've already done that with Manor Solomon. Granted, it was his partner that said you should go to Leeds, but the fact is we could facilitate a 50,000 a week wage in the championship speaks volumes. It speaks a whole load of volumes as to the ambition of this football club, but it's going to be tricky. Now, going into signings, how do you help that? You go in and you get key players. Now, I don't care how we build it. I want a strong defense. I want a strong goalkeeper, but you get the strong names in first before you even think about getting in squad players. Perfect example. Let's just say a prospective signing is looking at signing for Leeds United, and they see that we've signed Sean Longstaff and Carl Walker Peters. What's that going to do? What ambition does that scream to a Paixão, who we'll speak about in just a moment? Does that speak to any ambition at all? No. But if you're signing players that can make a difference, like a Baturina, I mentioned him again, Baturina, if you're looking at these kind of players and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, I see what they're trying to build here. This is good. But if you're signing players like that, you look like you're just ready for a relegation fight straight off the bat. So you've got to look as appealing as possible, and that is down to the recruitment as well. So the Nick Pope thing is probably on ice at the minute. We've got to wait and see what Newcastle are doing. But what I would say, people, is that you're not going to get anywhere with the attitude of who wants to sign for a relegated club. You won't get anywhere with that. But you also have to be ambitious as possible with the money you've got and make it as an attractive proposition as possible so we can beat out the teams like Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, and all those teams that we on paper should be bigger than, but in reality to players, we're not at this point in time. So there we are as we stand here, current day, Leeds United. Now, went a bit long with that, but it's cool. We're gonna move on. So Nick Pope on ice, another one we can and just let me know your thoughts on that. I'm sure you will in the comment section anyway. Another one we can move on from that we've been linked with before, Daniel Peretz from Bayern Munich. He's going to be joining PSV on loan. So there you go. There we are. And I'm happy about that one because I didn't want him coming in as our first choice number one from the body of work that I've seen from him previously. Now, somebody I do want coming in, and someone I've mentioned earlier, and from yesterday, Paixão, a positive update with this one is that he is willing to discuss terms with Leeds, according to reports, multiple reports as well. So it's a case of how much of the transfer budget do Leeds want to pay for this player. This for me, though, is the stardust that you pay for. If you're going to spend big on one player, it can be this guy. Like, I'd have no objections at all with this kind of guy being the one that takes a chunk of the budget, because you're going to need that. You're going to need, if you can get that one piece of stardust, and I feel that he could be the difference in games between a draw and a win, or a loss to a draw. He is that kind of talent. He's so good. The problem is as well, though, as I've mentioned yesterday in the video, Brighton are looking at him, Marseille looking at him. Someone else has thrown their hats into the ring, people, and it's Roma and their new manager, Gasperini. Legend of the game, Gasperini. He apparently likes him a lot and has sent the Roma board to do everything they can to sign him. So there you go. And there's going to be competition for players like this. These players are not going to be just you in a lane by yourself as Leeds United. There's going to be competition, but this is the kind of signing that it just changes everything, and it shows a hell of a lot of ambition. So if Leeds United can get in for this one, please do. But positively, he's also spoken positively about Rafinha before in his career model as well. Hey, come to Leeds, man. Maybe you go Barca sometime in the future as well. But he's spoken positively about Rafinha and how he's an idol to him as well. So there you go. He's already aware of Leeds United. So there we are. Paixão, this is the one. This is the one for me. But in terms of spending, Joe Donahue did put this out, but it's something I've mentioned before, and I've mentioned it I think I mentioned it in the live stream actually. But I did say about the accounting period probably being an issue in terms of not getting big money players before the 30th of June, because everything's got to reset. And I harken you back to last year. If you remember in the Premier League, just around the 30th of June, there was like a 3-club circle in the Premier League where they all bought and sold players to each other, and it was all to appease PSR. And yeah, I don't want any of that, because some of the players that were being sold for the fees that they were, there's definitely some massaging of the figures there. But Leeds United are unlikely to make any major signings before July 1st this summer, and it's a similar story for most Premier League clubs. But as Joe says here, patience is the name of the game. Plenty going on behind the scenes. It doesn't mean that you can't agree terms with players and say, yeah, this move is all sewn up. Obviously, nothing is done until things are signed. But you can still make contact with players, and then once July 1st hits, get all your signings done, July 1st, or get a majority of your signings done, or a few, but you can get things done by July 1st, but you can agree terms with players and, get a feel for the agent and just say, look, we want to do the signing. Is he willing to come? Yes, yes, yes. Please, after July 1st, because it will make it easier for PSR. And there's a lot of teams in that boat as well. So we're not unique in that position either. But like a Paixão, if he comes available and you have to spend like 30 million, that's going to put us close to the edge, people, because we're already on the last of 61 million in this period. But then you may have to move some players on. And one of those that could have been moved on, and it's a very loose report, it's from Graham Bailey, but Pascal Struijk could be targeted by Leipzig if Costello Lukeba is sold. And that's only on the basis that Lukeba is sold, by the way. So there's no real substance to this. It's just one of those things that if Leipzig do sell their central defender, that Pascal Struijk could be one. And I've already said that I already think that if we're going to sell one of our main first team players, I could definitely see Pascal Struijk being one of the sacrifices, because I still think we do need another centre back there. But it would be interesting to see if they do sell that Lukeba centre back. Do they come in for Pascal Struijk, and how much money would we get there? And again, if that comes in before July 1st, that would help us even more in our quest to recruit, in this period of PSR. But yeah, we're going to have to get some work done, both incomings and outgoings. And I've already said before, we need to see some outgoings too, because that's going to help towards the books as well. And we shall see if there's any rumors like this one today, that if there's any more players that could be moving out in the near future. Just quickly, just on like, rivals or where we're going to be. Burnley, get French football news. Crystal Palace, Everton, and Bayern Munich are competing to sign Burnley's Maxime Esteve. Palace have made the Frenchman their priority target, which is absolutely huge. Don't know if Burnley are going to sell him or not, but what I'm trying to get at here is Burnley. There's going to be interest in him. I knew that was obvious from the Championship anyway, but also CJ Egan Riley, who is his partner, he still hasn't signed a new contract to Burnley. And if they do lose James Trafford, that's 3 pieces out of that defensive core that made them so solid last year. So it's going to be interesting to keep an eye on that. We're already seeing Joby Bellingham. He's going to be moving to Borussia Dortmund in the near future. We haven't got anything like that at this point. The Pascal Struijk thing that I've just mentioned today is the closest thing I've seen to one of our, first teamers being linked with a move away. I haven't seen anything else of any of our key players, just fringe players like Patrick Bamford and Joe Gelhardt and things like that. So it seems we're in a good position right now, and Burnley are looking like they're having to, steady that ship a little, because people want their key players in defense and goalkeepers. So something to look out for in terms of that, and people that will be around us in the league at this point in time. So that is it, people. I hope you've enjoyed the update. Oh gosh, forgot. Promise David. Silly me. Promise David. I haven't got the icon here, but Paris FC are in talks with Promise David, who we've also been linked with previously. So I just want to give you an update there. And it looks like Promise David could be moving to Ligue 1 and the newly promoted Paris FC. So that's one that we may have to cross out very soon, but I'll give an update if there's anything further on that one. But until the next time, people, like the video before you go. Free to do, helps out the channel immensely. Thank you to Rod and Will for joining as members. Thank you so much for the support, and big up to all members of the channel. If you want to become a member of the channel, the link is in the description. Guys, for anything I've discussed today, leave it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.